Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, and others, and a special welcome to those of you who managed to find all the Easter eggs in the garden on this Easter weekend. And welcome to Raceday.tv, where we take a look back to Simola Hillclimb 2019, and we joined with one of the huge characters, a protagonist for overall victory at Simola 2019, Wilhelm Baard. Wilhelm, thank you very much for joining us.
Cool, thanks for having me.
What did you have for breakfast this morning, Wilhelm?
Quite a good, what do you call it? Forgot the word now. Lost in my memory.
Wilhelm, the correct answer to that was motel. We're going to jump straight back into Simola Hillclimb 2019. You had a very interesting time. You brought a GTR with a lot of development on it, and it didn't quite go according to plan.
Yeah, look, we did lots of testing before we went down, and all the simulations told us a very good story. And of course, when we went down there, all the problems that we should have had in testing started happening there. As you can recall, the first morning was a bit wet, so we decided not to take the car out. It was too risky. But the afternoon we went out and we turned the front drive shafts off in the block of the car. So that was the end of the first day, and the car had to go to a local engineering shop to get all of that fixed for the next day. And yeah, when we started the next day, it's all sorts of electronic issues. So eventually we just used two-wheel drive and too much horsepower, and yeah, I just ran out of time. It was quite disappointing, but eventually we got a little bit of a time towards the end. But yeah, not very disappointing from the testing we did before.
I mean, that's kind of motor racing. It was a foregone conclusion. We wouldn't need to run the events. And through that time, there was just observing it was an incredible mental time for you, and going through the different emotions of worrying about the car and then trying to psych yourself up. And we've got a little clip that probably summarizes exactly what was happening on the Sunday morning, where in the pit lane we found Sleeping Beauty. Have a look at this, Willie.
I was going to wake him up, but I can't wake him up. This is Sleeping Beauty. He is awake. Let me get down here. Wicked Willie, my boy, you resting well, hey?
Yeah, I'm trying to work the corners and run the run and get everything in my head straight. I've only got one qualifying left, so we haven't put a time down. We had four-wheel drive issues this morning, all related to wiring and sensors, so no mechanical issues. So yeah, one run to get up there, and then we get to the final and can do the numbers.
Have you got four-wheel drive back now?
We have, the car seems to be okay, yes.
Okay, Willie, I'm going to leave you to focus. Focus hard, do a good job, run those laps in your head, and thanks for talking to us. You, my boy, are a character of note.
Cool.
Guys, Sleeping Beauty. This is the fast and the wild. He's got a beast. It will be awoken shortly, and the pilot, he will get on this thing and he will guide the beast up that hill, because he is up against the Kraken. That over there is the Kraken.
That was a wonderful morning from my point of view, not so wonderful from your point of view. And when you visualizing what you're actually doing there, Willie, the clarity of the movie that runs in your head, just share with our watchers, the oaks who've joined us, and welcome to Paul and Fani and Keith and Ruan and all of you. Thank you very much for joining us. Just share with the guys that movie that you play through your head when you visualizing going up the hill.
Yeah, look, when almost any event, I still will walk, even though I've been up there plenty gazillion times. I will still walk it on the first morning, and indeed the second morning. So first morning you just put markers for yourself down. I even give myself steps and look for a tree or look for something, and then I have my own markers. So then during the day you sort of use those as reference points, and it's either you use it when you use it the first time, it's either too soon or too late or whatever, and you can adjust accordingly during the day. But yeah, and then the next day you just do that again, and so you have exact entry points and exact apex points, and where you need to start to accelerate and whatever. And even though we are talking about milliseconds, tens of seconds or whatever, you know when you have a good time and when you don't have a good time, and the difference between those can be 0.1, 0.2 of a second. But that's the sport. Right?
And it's amazing when you've done those runs and you've seen them mark the rock, the flower that's a little bit droopy, the little skid mark on the road, and when it starts flowing and it just happens, that's a most amazing feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I still maintain there's no such thing as a perfect lap, and I don't care who you are and what lap they refer to from the Sennas before and whatever. But yeah, for us, it's just taking absolutely. You're literally going over the limit, but you can only go so far over the limit, and to sew all of that together for every single corner is fantastic. That's what we live for, and I think that's part of the disappointment from last year's hill climb. We went there with a target time, and we were so far off. It was not so much not winning or coming second or whatever. It was more being so far off what we targeted. That was the biggest disappointment, I think.
But let's have a look at that run and then have a bit of a chat afterwards. So this is the final King of the Hill shootout with Wilhelm in the GTR, which by now is crippled. It's only running rear-wheel drive. He's focused as hell, and I think deep down inside there's a little bit of let's wring the neck out of this thing. Watch this run. Just watch it.
Wilhelm Baard drops the hammer. Rear-wheel drive only on that car now, not all-wheel drive like we saw earlier on. They've had to do some modifications to the car.
Oh, sparks going.
And it's going to be lots of sparks.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Please tell me Frankie's photos is out there getting these shots of the sparker. Look at this. It's lighting up. Never mind the car. Look at the sparks on this thing. This is fantastic. Mind-blowing action. And there he is. Frankie's on the sideline. I'm sure he got that shot. Wade van Zimmeren's time. We're waiting for it to come up onto the screen. But it is Wilhelm Baard now throwing caution to the wind.
44.49 is what van Zimmeren clocked. Now, what is
man.
Baard going to give us here? Man, he is throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at it, up to the line and over.
44.4 out of Wade van Zimmeren. Is that quicker than he's ever gone? A 44.409, a 44.499. No, he was 9/10 of a second. 40.3.
So that turned out to be 1.0 seconds slower than Franco Scribanti in the Kraken. But as you say, it doesn't really matter what everybody else did. In your own inside, you gave it everything, but it wasn't what you really wanted to. But for a two-wheel drive car, that was a bloody good time.
Yeah. It was. It was disappointing. It looked spectacular. The car was just running too low, and that's part of the problems we had. We just ran out of time to try and set it up properly and whatever. So the aero that was supposed to work also did not work properly. As I say, it's that car should have gone under 39s very easily, and we were way over a second off what we should have done.
So, Willie, what have you learned from that and in the development? You've done a shitload of development on that car from then to this year. What did you learn, and what are the key areas that you've addressed on the car to get this thing quicker?
Yeah, I think electronics play a big part, and it sounds like almost cliche, but it's we can use only so much power in certain areas of the track, so we must set accordingly. And I think when these cars are turned up, they're quicker than what we can drive them in any case. So I think the car is okay. We've learned quite a lot of stuff last year with the ratios. We had wide tires, but they were too small basically, and ran out of revs. We were just out of the sweet spot at the top of the hill, and that cost us also quite a lot of time. So yeah, Colin, to do well, the car needs to launch. It needs to have power to get up the hill, and then you need to have lots of traction and good left to right at the top of the thing, just grip and balance.
We had a couple of days ago, we spoke to Willie Hepburn just about developing cars, and one of the things that he brought up was having the drivability of a car, and he mentioned a racing car, and I forget exactly where it was, where they turned the power down to get the drivability up. How that balance of the drivability of the car and the delivery of the power, how do you manage that?
Yeah, power is not everything. The chassis must handle it. At the end of the day, you've got 4 pieces of rubber that must take all your longitudinal forces and lateral forces. And yeah, so we put aero on to help with the lateral stuff and some of the longitudinal stuff, and just throw as much power as we can. But I mean, up to a point where you understand there's no traction, and if you have no traction, you're going nowhere. You're not turning and you're not going forward. So that's the key thing. But as I said, we need to electronics help with that, and just to be quite, I don't know, very careful and technical and clever with the electronics this time around.
Now, in some ways, the delay of Simola Hillclimb 2020 from 2 weeks, what would have been 2 weeks' time, through into September, has given you a little bit more development time on the car. We know that you had some troubles at the Emerald Speedfest, and this shutdown certainly hasn't helped in terms of the development. But coming out of shutdown, you certainly will have more time for development. What are the key areas that you're looking on the car that you took to, or the spec that you took to Emerald Speedfest, to modifying, fixing, tunering, going into September?
Yeah, I think Emerald would have been a test for us, just to check if what we have now is okay or will be okay. I think, yeah, we found quite a bit of technical issues at Emerald, so from that, of course, just working through everything very carefully. You know, motor racing, everything seems to be happening at the last day or two, and it's right throughout the night and whatever. So time has helped us, but invariably we will get to the hill climb, and probably still midnight oil.
You never ever have enough time.
It never stops. It never stops, sir.
Yeah, motorsport's all about time. Time on the track and time before the track. And Willie, going forward, we just wish you all the luck on that car. And we certainly look forward to September. And as Green Day say, wake me up when September comes. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But we can't leave this here.
Yeah, it's not luck, it's black and white. It works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's engineering stuff.
But we can't leave this here, because one of our viewers and a friend, a mentor, a person both of us know reasonably well, Paul Clark, is watching. And that reminds us of some time before, in another life, back at Nissan. And just talk us through your early days of test driving and some of the highlights of the team that you learned from and worked with then.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy days, I think, and very lucky with some of the stuff we were able to do and able to get away with. But yeah, a good bunch of people, and some of them are still there. Yeah, lots of, I think the rest of your life, you go through times in your life where you get mentors and where you learn and I don't know, get the basis for what follows from there. And yeah, all of those early years were definitely part of that, and some immature stuff from ourselves, and yeah, but that's how you learn and you grow up and go through that. But I don't want to go into too many details because some of it is just not good for public consumption at all.
But certainly there was a lot of learning about, how shall we put this, where limits are, and as young, dumb and like full of bravery and all the rest of it, the environment that guys like Paul Clark, Peter Hood, the environment that they provided, Jimmy Burt was another, Graham Eagle, the environment that they provided, how it enabled, and I include you and I were roundabout at the same time, and they enabled a whole bunch of learning about equipment and about ourselves to happen.
Yeah, and we had test tracks to ourselves, don't forget. So now we go and test race cars and whatever, but test tracks are a little bit different, and you get to spend endless time on skid pans and dry pans and understand the grip limit and understand what to do with the car. I mean, I always say that one of the scariest, or maybe scary is not the right word, but the first day I got into a car, I had to concentrate to the end of it because I just did not want to stall the car, and my friends was sitting in the back of it, and of course I stalled it probably 3 or 4 times. A VW, a Beetle, I'll never forget that. But today you get in a car and you just do it. So now it is like almost second nature, and I think test drivers and the environment that we were in, we had the opportunity to do that day in and day out all the time. So all of that almost became second nature to us. So car control and what happens to a car, what happens close to the limit, and getting this feeling of balance and shifting of forces in the car, that certainly was a big part of that time, and yeah, it still stays with us most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time.
Some of us have been known to overstep the limit by a little bit too much, and it's that you spoke earlier about finding where the limit is, getting close pretty quickly, and then fiddling around with about that part of in and out of control. And it's a wonderful feeling, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and as speed increases, of course, on a wet skid pan it's very easy because everything happens slowly and your reactions more or less need to follow suit. But racing cars and stiffly sprung cars, so everything happens at a much quicker speed or higher speed, but it also happens much quicker in itself. So a soft suspension gives you time to understand what's going to happen, but very hard suspension, you get the directness of what you want in a race car, but also everything happens super quick, so your reactions need to be super quick as well.
How do you look after your keeping sharp and keeping your reactions going?
Chasing my dogs. No, Colin, not enough. Not enough. Need to train a little bit more and whatever. It's not so much physical. I think it's more mental. Keeping your mind fresh is key.
And how much weight do you put on eyes? And you know, as I've got older, my eyes have got frotterer, and I'm feeling a bit of an impact just on normal day stuff. But for somebody as young and as fit and fast as you, how much influence do you think eyes and where you're looking and recognizing things plays?
Yeah, look, I'm well past 40, and you get to 40, you fall off a cliff. I mean, one day you see, the next day you can't see. So it's literally like that. So of course I have glasses, and they get stronger the older you get. But driving, I still can't driving fast. So of course my glasses, when I drive, it's still prescription glasses. But when I drive fast, I can't use it for some other reason. I went with an off-road bucky late last year, and yeah, it was the one thing that struck me there. I had my sunglasses on, and I just could not use it. So I don't do that because I still have my focus points, whatever, and so on. But I don't know. It's not something that bothers me at the moment.
That off-road bucky is a completely different world in terms of the punishment they can take. Now, we love the cross-country series. What was the biggest thing that just hit you in amongst your brain about the impact of those cars?
Yeah, look, I've been very lucky. I've spent time on the ring. I've driven Baganis, I've driven special stuff. But this was probably the best time I've had behind a wheel ever, bar none. Such fun! It was really fantastic. But yeah, the big for me, the big wow factor was what the suspension. I spent some time on off-road bikes and whatever, so you understand more or less what the suspension can do. But it was still like somebody whacking you with a cold fish through the face. I mean, it was really a wow thing. And then the grip as well. I mean, we guys that stay on the tire and try and find the best times, yeah, it's the grip there was for me just on another level. So yeah.
Now, you've got to be talking to Terence Marsh, who I believe made that test possible, about trying to race one of those things.
Terence is a businessman, and Terence, you can race any of his stuff, just bring the money. Yeah, thanks for Terence giving me the opportunity. It's one of those bucket list items, and yeah, he made it possible. But I mean, that's the sad part of motorsport. I think you spoke to Roger about it yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. But yeah, it's a problem. Our problem is the cost of it now. And of course, when you want to knock in the front and play at the front end, it gets very expensive.
Some interesting comments coming through from people who are watching. Somewhere, William says, do me a favor and say hi to my dad for me. So William, from William, hello.
William is my biggest fan. Yeah. He's my son, my biggest fan. I'm the fastest driver in the world, according to him.
Well, but according to sons and people around racing drivers, in particular individual racing drivers, we all actually are the fastest driver in the world. And when we start believing that, then it's time to stop driving.
Yeah.
Another comment, Richard Root, all the way from Belito. Yeah, Reggie. So,
who's he?
Yeah, he's a good boy. Apparently, he flies microlights, and he says, you don't talk this much on the back of a microlight. Tell us, I mean, we know Reggie's a proper pilot of cars and of microlights. What was it like? He's offered to take me up on that. I'm scared shitless to go with Reggie on it. What is it like flying with him?
How can you be a respected race driver or call yourself a respected race driver if you get kicks flying at 85 kilometers? I don't think it even gets to 85. It probably gets to 70 k's an hour. No, I tell you what, he took me up and look, I'm not a good guy with heights. Reggie is a good mate of mine, and yeah, so no, I was petrified, absolutely petrified. I was like wet, sweating all over. So we flew from Belito, and that when we got to Umsloti, it was okay, but yeah, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, just watching the wildlife in the sea and whatever, manta rays, and just you stand on the beach and you look You look at the blue yonder and you think, you don't see the stuff that you see from there. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I tell you what, the relationship you and Reggie have had in racing and over the years has been absolutely fantastic. And we are going to talk to Reggie tomorrow, and again about Simola Hillclimb. And Wilhelm, one of the things we're doing is we are rebroadcasting runs last year, and they will be on HD on YouTube. So if you've got a smart TV and all the rest of it, you can put it on and play it in the background and watch some of the highlights. It'll also be on Facebook. So Wilhelm, in this time, a large part of your job revolves around driving cars. How are you staying sane?
There's blood on the walls. I watch them now just so they don't show too much now, but blood on the walls. No, it's difficult. I think the motor industry in general is it's quite tough at the moment, globally, not just South Africa. And I think life will be different after this. It's a bit of a pause button, so it pauses here and then it pauses. I think Japan is only going into some form of self-containment, whatever, just now, and then. So it's not all over the world at the same time, and that just prolongs the bigger issue. But yeah, I think life will be different after this for many, and it's difficult. But the other problem we have is that after this, probably lots of things will happen also on top of each other and quite quickly, because everything is now just being postponed. So I think motorsport is going to be the same. They're going to cram 50 races into 5 days, well, by the sounds of it, to get a season.
I think it's going to be a really, really full second half of the year when we finally get going, and really looking forward to it. Well, Helen, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us and sharing some of your thoughts and insights. It's always a pleasure, and for me a privilege talking to proper drivers like you and having you share some stuff with us. So we really thank you from Raceday.
Very good. Thank you for having me. Nice talking.
Be safe, and we'll see you around fast cars later on this year. And to all of you who joined us for this throwback into Simola 2019. Remember, we've got it on HD on YouTube, so check out the various channels on the Simola channel and on the Raceday.tv channel on YouTube. It'll be on HD. You can put it on your smart TV and get some lekker pictures and relive some of the glorious moments of it. And today, it's a Friday, so we are looking at Classic Car Friday, and at around about 4 o'clock this afternoon we're going to be talking to Franco Scribanti, who won the Classic Car Friday in his Chevron last year, and Eddie, who looks after that car, it's his baby. We'll talk to Franco. So join us a little bit later, and thank you very, very much for watching. Also got to thank Fritz and Henk and the guys at Motorsport Technique for supporting us, as well as Vatswaye and the Simola Hillclimb. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a glorious Easter Friday. Enjoy the Easter eggs. Be safe, be lekker. We'll talk to you at around about 4-ish today. Cheers. Helen's still there.